Okay, I'm going to ask you and the audience a question. Who do you think is bigger today, Mr. Beast or Tom Holland?
The next TCS from India is going to be in content.
I think Beer Biceps is definitely on the route to become a celebrity.
I don't think people like failure in this nation.
I'm an idiot. Don't take anything I say seriously.
If you build out great content for your brand or for your business, in a way, it is always doing the selling for you. People don't realize how always on content actually is.
Content creators are going to be bigger than Bollywood in India.
When I came into this office, I had limited idea of what you were doing because I had read up a lot about you. I had seen a bunch of stuff about you, not only because of the podcast or because we started talking about, but even before you're kind of all over the internet. And when I spoke to Arnab and Mukul, where does all this kind of tie in? And just to give you a sense, right? We had Tanmay, we spoke about him right now. We had him on the pod a couple of weeks back. So, Barbershop is a Bombay shaving company kind of IP.
Yeah.
And we built Barbershop because we felt that our products in Bombay Shaving Company are used personally and there's no word of mouth. Yeah. Men don't go and talk to each other about grooming stuff. It's unlike beauty or apparel or sports or food, or if we'll always have like a cold drink together or whatever, right? So it's used individually, it's used inside the bathroom and they don't talk about it. So there's zero word of mouth for my category. And I'm up against someone who has insane media budgets. So like, how do we make our brand center of culture for our audiences, for our consumers, young men who are choosing to take hair off their face, trimmers, razors, etc. But without advertising it, because advertising is expensive. So that's how the podcast started. The podcast started as, we are a young Indian challenger brand. So what is young Indian challenger all about? So it's entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
My LinkedIn has gotten some kind of traction, a few thousand followers. We said, can we convert Shantanu's LinkedIn into like a conversation which is on video and audio? This is 2022. And that's how we started calling in entrepreneurs. We spoke to them. We converted that into like short form, long form, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify. And quickly we kind of started growing. And it was all organic. And we named it the Barbershop. We integrated, elements of Bombay Shaving Company in the conversation without it being obvious.
Yeah.
And it really became an amazing place to market Bombay Shaving Company. We can't obviously do it very out there because people will feel like they're being sold to and people hate that. But it's now become a place where entrepreneurship is celebrated. And that's the context of having you on the pod also, right? Which is, you're doing something amazing here, especially in the context of Razorprenuer 2.0. So every year, we take one entrepreneurial skill, which we believe any entrepreneur should have, independent of which business they run, what stage of the business is, etc., what geography, nothing matters. So the first year we picked up the ultimate entrepreneurial skill, which is sales.
Yeah.
So last year we said we're going to go all out on sales and we will get people to sell our razors.
Yeah.
We had a 99 rupees Sensi Smart 3. Like go on the streets. We got founders, we got investors. Ki aap bhi bech ke dikhao. We got the CEO of Godrej to go into a store in Rohini to sell a razor to a shopkeeper. Right. So we did all of that, put on content, made it big. And we had like an amazing Razorprenuer 1.0. This time we've taken the skill which I think probably you're a master of, which is pure play content. And we believe that today, if you want to run a business, you need to learn how to tell a story, not just to people who are going to invest in you, but to your consumers. And you need to learn how to tell that story across platforms, across languages, across formats. And that's how it's going to keep, that's what is going to create the wave of business for you. And this time Razorprenuer 2.0 is about content creation. So Varun, I'm so excited to have you, and given the long chat we had, I now kind of understand how all of that fits in for you. But thank you for being patient and for spending time with us.
It's my pleasure to be here, man. I've seen a lot of your content. It keeps appearing in my feed, and I feel like the coolest part about being in content is you see all these cool people in your feed, and then the next week they're in your office or you're in their office, right? So I feel to me, the real value of this is it's made the world smaller.
Yeah.
And eternally grateful for the idiot in me 5 years ago or 6 years or 7 or whatever, however long ago, who decided to go out and press the record button and just say whatever came to his mouth, right? So
yeah.
The ripple effect of that is this conversation.
No, I'm so glad. But I know that now, you started a company, you started a couple of companies, you like to be you're a tech guy, but loves consumer. That's great. Right? Dipinder, for example, is exactly like this, right? Tech guy who loves consumer. Became a creator along with your wife who was running like a video editing school, and all of that has now come into what you do to today, which is fascinating. But tell our audiences this whole universe, which kind of is now so interconnected, which is your businesses, and how content is foundational. We should talk about that.
Yeah, I think it looks a little bit distracted from the outside, but I think everything flows in pretty nicely. I'll tell you the abridged version. The abridged version was she built the video school.
So video school is basically where you train editors to
where you
edit
train
videos.
editors,
Okay.
right?
And you're now doing 2,000 editors a cohort.
Per year.
Per year,
right.
okay.
So probably biggest in the world at this point. But most people would have scaled that as an ed tech, right? And we learned, I mean, one cool thing about having been an entrepreneur for 10 years is you learn from everybody else's mistakes. So like, should we scale that? We decided, no, let's not scale that. Let us have, because you can't place so many people. Like you can't go from 2,000 to 50,000 and then place 50,000 people. So like, let's do the right thing for students. And then she really focused on that, and she really focused on the content on the channel, right?
What's her name, sorry?
Her name's Achina.
Achina.
Yeah, that's Achina. It's a weird name, but
Okay.
you know.
Is she ethnically Indian? Or?
She's ethnically Indian. Yeah, she's. So she decided to create content. Like I don't know why we decided to start this channel. To be very honest, we were just like, we were bored. And our first video was actually a romance video. Romance as in like we were doing a podcast about how we met and all that. We realized there's one piece of content if you were talking about a relationship story. Then you got to do drama, like if you want to keep it running. And I was like, I don't have the time for this. So we decided let's not do that, and let's do business case studies instead, because that was something that she was interested in. I said, fine, let's do that. So I would shoot on the weekends. She was handling the entire channel. I would come do like a 1-minute skit or like a, you know, like it was just really fun for me. And the school she built.
So this is also a channel and a school both. So
Yeah, so
both
first the channel
parallel.
happened.
Okay.
Then the school happened much later, because she really wanted to monetize it, and I was like, cool, do it. But I wanted to start something in tech, right? For me, it was like, if I do another company, it has to be a technology company. But one lesson I've learned over the last 10 years is you can't sell raw technology in India.
Yeah.
You can't go out. I mean, it just sounds so silly to me now that, you know, now that I'm saying this, but like, you can't go to somebody and be like, here's technology, it'll improve your employee productivity by 10%.
Yeah.
Or here's technology, it's a community platform, it'll, you know, you will be able to run a community on it. The actual real thing that people want is people are busy and they want somebody to do it for them. There's a reason India is a really good services country, right? So it took me a long time to realize that. So I said, look, I want to do something in tech, but eventually this has to be valuable to the end person. And it has to be something that aligns with my passion. A lot of constraints, right? So the funny thing was, eventually we decided, I was running a bunch of experiments. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So we ran, you know, an experiment with agents, with the AI agents. We ran an experiment with AI and thumbnails. We ran an experiment with AI and, you know, chats on WhatsApp. And I really liked the AI plus thumbnail experiment. Because
what was that?
It was basically, we were, so we used something called stable diffusion. We fine-tuned the model on thumbnails, and we said, if I put up a picture of me, can I swap my face into that thumbnail and make it look like a good thumbnail? Because that takes time, right?
For YouTube or
for YouTube.
Okay.
Mostly for YouTube, right? Because if a person is sitting down, like an actual graphic designer making the thumbnail, it takes him maybe 6-7 hours.
Correct.
So maybe we can make that quicker and maybe charge, you know, $10 a month for it. And then very quickly we realized that the models are getting better, right? So we got our ass handed to us 6 months later with Midjourney's next update.
Correct.
So we said, is this a game we want to play? Is this? So we were bootstrapped. So we're like, this is the constraint we had to play with, which was, do we want to get our asses whooped by the next model and live with the unpredictability of models eventually becoming commoditized, the AI models? And that was what was happening. And many people in India at that point were like, oh, we have to build a foundational model, this, that. It was an ego thing, right? But we're like...
How long back was this? 2020?
This is last year, March.
Last year, March, okay.
Yeah, last year, March. Pretty...
23,
Yeah, 23 March, April, something like that. So we were experimenting and we were like, the first insight I had was models are getting commoditized, right? Whether you use ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, eventually it won't matter so much because they will all build, they'll get to feature parity. That was number one. Number two was that AI actually really disrupts creativity and content, right? I got hammered for this. I went publicly and I said 2 years ago when I tried DALL-E that AI is going to disrupt content. AI is going to disrupt thumbnail making. And the comments were like brutal. They were like, you don't understand creativity, this, that. But I had tried DALL-E too. It's just like, it's as simple as I tried the preview and I was like, this is crazy. It's like, you know, the first moment you use Midjourney or ChatGPT, you're like, this is great.
Yeah.
And we've just gotten used to it. But at that time, it was still a very fresh thing in my head, right? So I wanted to talk about it. I went on a podcast, spoke about it. And then what ended up happening was
we realized that it really disrupts content creation, everything from your scripting to this to that. And then one of those days, I tried this one open source model called Wave to Lip. It was actually made by a IIIT team, and they just put it out on GitHub, and I tried it. And what it did was it restitches your lips.
Okay.
So I shot this video of me, and then I restitched the lips to say something else. So you can sync it to any audio you want. The output isn't great. But I was like, if this works, I can dub my content in any language possible. And I put out a tweet about this in February 2023. I was just experimenting, right? I was thinking about what to do next. And it worked. And it just wasn't great enough. It wasn't great for production because people would be able to tell. So we said, if we draw a trend line on this, and then if we also draw a trend line on the thumbnail thing, and we say this is going to get better in a year, right? Then maybe we have a shot at making the unit economics of doing content at scale profitable.
Yeah.
Okay. And then of course, my wife had the video school as well. And I was like, we tried to automate editing, and it really didn't work. Because editing is this thing like, you can't go to ChatGPT and be like, here's the video footage, edit it with this style.
Yeah.
It can't do that. And there's no tool that does that, right? The runway MLs of the world are focusing on, you put in an image and then the image gets animated in a way. So we couldn't find a tool that did what we wanted. So we said, we'll have to depend on real editors. And then, as luck would have it, the models got better. And the first thing we solved was the AI avatar. We actually had a pretty good AI avatar. This was 8 or 9 months ago.
Wow.
And it was good. And I was like, let me just put this on mute. So the AI avatars got good, right? There was this company called Heja, and they put out their first version. We fine-tuned the app. We actually made and discarded a lot of avatars. And it turns out the lip restitching got better much faster than the audio.
Okay.
So we had this really good video avatar, but it spoke like an Anglo-American Indian. So okay, we got to get the voice model down.
Yeah.
And again, this was this process of just trial and error. So we did something, we discarded it, tried it, discarded it. So what we did was, eventually we learned the best format is, and I learned this from a video where I said the word devotee. Where we made an AI-generated video with the word devotee. And it said the word devotee wrong.
How did it say it? Was it how you say it?
Devotee or something like that.
Okay.
Something
Slightly
in a way
accented.
where I wouldn't say it. So what I did that weekend was I was like, guys, tell me every video that I did, which words sounded off. I'll record them. We'll put them back into the training data. We'll retrain the model. I will give you coverage. And eventually we just went to ChatGPT and what are the top 100 spoken words in the English language, right? What are the top 100 spoken words on YouTube? And I just read it out. And the goal was, let's get to as much coverage of most commonly used words as possible. Nobody's spoken about this on the internet as far as I know, right? We had to figure this out ourselves. So we hate calling ourselves a research company. I don't think that's what we do, but that's kind of what we do, right? We're just screwing around things and everyone's thinking about the models, no one's thinking about the use cases. Correct. So we just went and hammered around and tried to figure out use cases. And we tried everything at that period, by the way. I was experimenting on what to do next. We built a game called Overpower the Card Game.
Okay.
We built these 3 tools. We did so much, right? Because I was also trying to figure out where the next opportunity is. I was like, where does AI really disrupt things? Is it content? Is it game dev? The places where I was interested. So I wouldn't really go and solve something in CRM, right? Because it's not my cup of tea. So then eventually what happened, I think where the magic really took place was we started making this content and it started pulling the same number of views as normal content. But we were cleverly editing on top of it. Because we had the editors.
You needed human intervention.
Yeah. You needed human intervention. So we show the avatar for 5 seconds, we show the avatar for 3 seconds, we'd slip it in. But it wasn't really AI generated content. Only the avatar and the voice were AI generated. Yeah. The editing was very manual.
Yeah, human, yeah.
Right? And that started doing so well at some point that I think last month we did 50 million views on just my Instagram account. Instagram plus YouTube on short form, we did something like 70 million views.
Wow. And right. How much are you churning out? How much content are you churning out?
30 reels a month.
That's one a day?
On that channel. And the funny thing is at that point I had stopped creating content.
So this is all
this
is all your editors plus AI kind of putting
plus
it together.
I have this, it's one person who's just willing to step up and say, one editor who's willing to step up and say, I'll handle this, right? And all I was doing in the morning was I was giving my insights. I'd wake up, I'd send a voice note to the group and I'd be like, guys, I think we should make a reel on this. And here are my insights. Here's what I think is going to happen with whatever, this Microsoft, this deal, whatever. I give my insight. They plug that into Claude. Claude will pack, and Claude now writes like me. Claude is one of the models. We use something called Claude projects today, where we've fed it every video I've ever made, the transcripts of every video I've ever made, the book I've written a book called Pajama Profit long time ago. We packed all that context in, and now it kind of writes like me. For example,
It basically has your voice. Like it'll structure sentences the way you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it's like I use the word, here's the kicker a lot. I use the words, here's the kicker a lot. It replicates that, right? In fact, it's still a little bit poor in the sense that it will replicate multiple times, but if you're doing a 60-second reel, it's superb, right? People can't tell. And then we also...
And your objective is for people to not be able to make out the difference. So then now you can then kind of...
Actually, do you know what? That wasn't even our objective. The objective was just like, I don't want to sit in front of the camera every day and do it. People think, oh, you're just shooting 1 minute a day. What's the big deal?
No, it's
but
a lot.
The thing is, it's context switch, right? You'll be traveling somewhere, and once this thing works, you get more opportunities for traveling all the time. So you don't have time to like plug in any... You don't have time to be in the studio all the time.
Yeah.
So when we started doing this, it started doing so well that, we realized, oh my God, this is an arbitrage, this is an opportunity. Yeah. So then we kind of did more of it. So we started 10 different channels, right? And people don't know about the rest of the channels. They probably know about my channel, they probably know about my wife's channel. And not all of them were AI generated. We're just like, we'll do as many,
now it's creating leverage, you can do more.
Yeah, we're like, if this works, we should spam it, right? So we did Overpowered with me and Tanmay, but that was real, that was a podcast. Then we did this one more channel called Full Disclosure around careers. So everything was done slightly differently. We're like, everything needs to have its own distinct style. It can't just be someone on Instagram using AI generated content, right? We still don't know about the longevity of this, right? Eventually, if I have to come back and shoot, I'm happy to come back and shoot. But it'll be less flow of content. But whatever, during that window of opportunity, we really grew. Last month, we had like 110,000 followers or something like that, right? So while the window of opportunity exists, you should exploit it. But at some point, everyone's going to know about it. These arbitrages are short term today, right? Because information travels so fast. So 3 months later, everyone's going to know about it, they're going to do it, by which time we need to be 2 steps ahead.
Correct.
So as this 2 steps ahead, I said, I'm going to set up an entity here that only does the research part of things. Research as in tries the models for research for use cases, not research on the models themselves. We called it EOS Labs. We said, we will still try to make this thing profitable. So what we'll do is, whatever we learn, we'll also sell it to companies. For example, we learned how to deepfake ourselves into actual videos. So we started selling that to Amazon Prime, right? Where we said, hey, you want to do a certain campaign, we're happy to, deepfake the person into the campaign, into the trailer, where you're next to the actor. And that was great for them. And we said, this is good. Can we do more, right? So we did more such campaigns. We did campaigns with, today, ChatGPT speech to speech, right? Right? And the 2 people that work with me, Harsha and Tejas, on that entity, they were very open to like trying stuff. They were like, we'll try, something will work. Right? Worst case, we'll make it a services company. And that's exactly what happened. And when people know that you've done so much AI stuff behind the scenes and it's working, use cases of the models, because models are a dime a dozen. Actual use cases where it's actually pulling views or it's actually working for the people doing the campaigns, then more people come to you. Right? And when you're able to tell stories about that through the same medium, people come to you. Then we realized we should fuse the 2. We had editors. We were able to figure out the AI presenter. And the presenter is the hardest part of a channel. Because when the channel does well, the presenter decides, I'm king, pay me more or I'll leave. Or on the other end, the channel...
presenter for our viewers are basically the face of
the channel, right? Especially in the kind of channels we make, which is face to camera. We realized we can actually just get the presenters to do content. If the presenter is AI, you don't have the nakras of a regular presenter, right? So we started being able to give the power of the presenter in the editor's hands, right? And then upskill the editors to do more than just editing. And that worked really well. And then businesses came to us. Businesses said, can you do the content plus AI? Can you do both? Can you do what the AI arm does and the content arm does for us? And we never had to prove ourselves because we'd done so many channels. They were like, you've already run these channels. We just want one like that. And one of our first clients was actually Zoho, right? We did it well for Zoho. Then Zerodha came along and then so on and so forth. ClearTrip came along. So like, a bunch of different customers came along, and today we're at a point where we can't keep up with demand, right? Because almost every channel, and we still have like maybe a 20%, 30% failure rate because you can never predict these platforms. Almost all these channels work for them. And the ROI is pretty clear. It's like either I spend on ads or I spend on this thing where 3 months it's worse economics than ads. But at 4th month onwards, I have an asset. I actually have an asset, which is like I have this channel that works. And all the benefits of a channel are intangible. They're tangible, but it's hard to put down on a sheet. Like you get recognized outside. If someone's choosing between 2 razors, they've seen your pod, subtly it influences them to buy that, right? So we didn't have to sell that anymore because businesses just understood. That's why I keep saying a lot of what worked at the YouTube as a service business that we had was just right place, right time. Right? Because brands understood the value of content. You started doing a pod, Nikhil started doing a pod, lots of other people started doing podcasts and content. You saw the ROI, right? And then you realized, oh, this is great. So the businesses saw it and they said, okay, we should go to the best. And at that point, I mean, even now, it's just we had so many channels for ourselves that were working, we never had to prove it.
Yeah.
So that really scaled, and then it got to a point where suddenly I went from this guy who was sitting and hacking around, trying different experiments, trying to see which of the AI models use cases would make money, to suddenly now managing people in P&L.
Yeah.
Right? Like managing office
Welcome
space.
to
managing office space, right? So it became a totally different life.
No, but just to pause on that, right? Let's just think about all the things that actually had to happen, right? Your wife, Achina, had to be building out a video editing school. You had to be a tech person to be ahead of the curve on AI and you were tinkering around with AI models a lot. You had to be a content creator yourself, by the way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think that instinct would not have been built out.
Yeah.
You started creating the content with your wife, you started doing it on your own, you understood tech, and this whole AI revolution was starting out.
Yeah, both the content and the AI revolution happened at the same time. If it didn't, we wouldn't have.
I think it feeds each other in a way, right? And so now, if you think about it, these two things are beautiful because now you're able to monetize the business so beautifully because you are actually creating content for people in ways that they would never have been able to understand. Like the moment I spoke to you, I'm like, hey, how can Bombay Shaving Company work with you? How can you do this at Barbershop? Because honestly,
everyone comes to office asks us that.
Because I can't do this. Like I am constrained by time and and honestly, it's not. I've realized one thing in running a business: if there's someone else who's better than you at doing something, just work with them.
And the magic of removing yourself as the key man risk through AI, just scaling yourself is so huge.
People also don't realize with content, which is something that we want to build out the awareness of is. If you build out great content for your brand or for your business, in a way, it is always doing the selling for you. People don't realize how always on content actually is.
Yeah.
It's not just you're doing it like, let's say, a couple of episodes a month or a few reels a month or whatever. It is someone or the other is constantly seeing it. So you're constantly selling. Your machine is constantly burning.
I can tell you why a lot of people in tech don't believe that. Because they're used to a very ROI way of thinking. Nike had this very famous incident recently where they were purely making decisions on data and their revenue dropped.
Okay.
They're like, we need to start doing the creative stuff again. Because the thing is, a lot of this doesn't show up in the data. Like as a founder, if you have two options, I do this content thing, we have no idea if it'll work. 3 months later, we could just realize we've lost our money. Versus I do this ad thing where I spend 1 rupee and I make 3 rupees. I get the math here. Math is not mathing.
Absolutely.
So let me do the safer math related thing that I understand better because I'm an engineer. The thing about content is I never started content to make money. Right? I didn't even think at the time I started creating content, nobody was making money in content. Right? So you started because you're like, you want to express yourself. It's the same reason I tweet. Like I tweet because I'm just like, I have this thought I want to tell people. Right? So it was the same with making video. And I can't tell you how many people were just too lazy to press the record button. Great people who could tweet very well, who just didn't press the record button and therefore lost the entire, so much opportunity. Right? Because they're like, oh, I'm shy on video. I don't know how to do video. I'm like, do 3 and then the 4th one will become a natural. Nobody's good on video on the first shot, right? So I felt like, you're right in the sense that it was very right time, right place. But also if you look at the actual path of how we've grown, it's very messy. We've tried 100 things. These are the 4 things that work and fit. And we also had to decline or delete a lot of things that didn't, like the card game that we made.
What was that?
We just made a random card game, overpowered the card game. We were like, let's make India and a bunch of things with a card game online which you can play with other people. And honestly, it didn't work. And we were like, this doesn't work, so let's just throw it out. So I became okay with the idea of trying 10 things and then failing at 8, right? Which is very hard in a nation that shames you for failing.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't think this is a nation where failure is taken. I don't think people like failure in this nation.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, it is like just being able to be okay with shipping something and then not having it work.
Yeah.
I think I got comfortable with that because I've done it for 10 years and some things have worked, some things have not worked. I'm like, fuck it, let me just embraced that narrative. Also, I don't think this would have worked VC backed. I think it had to be bootstrapped, because if it was VC backed, they'd be like, why are you running the AI labs part?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense in the content thing.
Yeah.
But I was pretty sure that the AI and content thing would work. And the avatar, just so you know, when we started speaking about the avatar thing, people laughed at us.
Yeah.
They're like, no way people watch AI generated content.
People don't realize how recent this damn thing is.
Yeah.
They don't realize how recent it is. Like, the fact that you get your lips right, or you get your eyes right, or you get the hand gestures are
movement right,
very
yeah.
difficult, right? And it's happening at an insane pace.
Yeah, it's only going to get better. Like, the model's only going to get, this is the worst it'll ever be. Right? So, if the worst it'll ever be is this, then imagine
Short
where
form,
it's going to
crazy.
get good.
On short form, it's crazy good.
We've also done it on long form. I did a video, and people can check it out. It's called Why India Can't Build a AAA Game.
Okay.
And it's about Wukong, the Chinese game, right? Entire video is AI. Like, the entire presentation, this, that. It's got
So what part of that is AI, and what part of that is scripted and insights
So
from
the
you and
script is, I'll tell you how I do it. I send like a voice note to my team. So usually this will
How
have
long
all
is it?
my
Like 20
thoughts.
minutes, 5 minutes?
No,
2 seconds?
it'll be like 3-4 minutes.
Okay.
But it's only inside pack. Like,
That's
I'm not telling a story. I'm just like, listen, this happened and this happened. Then the Nvidia deal, they cracked a deal with Nvidia. Then this happened. Blah blah blah. Whatever I can find on the internet. I actually spend time doing that research. Right. I like doing that because it's just reading.
Okay.
It's fun stuff. I compress that down. It's almost like tweeting.
Okay.
I'm tweeting. I'm sending a
exact
tweet
summary
thread.
of that, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sending out a tweet thread with all my thoughts on a specific topic. Send it into Claude, and the Claude projects writes like me. So it's like a unzip mechanism
Okay.
for the insights that I have, because Claude can't come up with new insights. It's very hard. So I will send it insights. It writes like me, so it'll unzip it into a 10-minute video or 5-minute video. That's exactly how the Wukong video is done. There'll be a human here who also goes through it once to make sure it's not, there are parts, we QA all our videos. We're like fact QA all our videos,
Correct.
right? So we're like, if we say something wrong, people make decisions based on it. So we shouldn't do that. So we try to tell the truth across the entire video, so the truth check. And then eventually that goes into the voice model. The voice model spits out the output. From the voice model, it goes into the video model. That spits out the lips and the hands and the eyes and whatnot, spits it
So
out.
now you have an avatar of you,
Yeah.
and you have the voice, and it's
Yeah.
saying everything, which is for
Correct.
10 minutes.
Across 10 minutes. Then there is a human being that goes in, like a surgery, and decides which parts of this look fake. Right? This part looks fake, let's edit on top of it. This part looks fake, let's edit on top of it. So it's, when people say the entire content is AI generated, that's not true.
That's not true.
There is insane amount of human effort going on to make sure the fakery doesn't look that fake, although the effort is getting lesser as the models get better.
So Lul, think about it, right? It's, first of all, the genesis of this is your 4-minute voice note, which is a lot of research upfront.
Yeah.
And then there is the training of the model which has happened before, and then there's a massive amount of editing that happens afterwards.
Yeah. Like, the model wouldn't speak like me if I didn't spend 30 years sharpening my English, right? The model wouldn't move like me if I didn't have a specific personality that the world has shaped on me, right? Like, I don't think we shape our own personality. I think the world shapes our personalities.
Absolutely.
That wouldn't have happened. I don't think that without figuring out a lot of the training parts, we would have had a model that looks or feels so good, right? Like, that doesn't feel uncanny. And then, of course, the insights. I still give it my insights, right? My thoughts, my opinions, blah, blah, blah. And then the Claude, the unzipper, if I didn't write a book, I don't think we'd have enough context there for it to write like me.
Correct.
Right? And I don't think if I'd made videos for so long, I don't think it would have been able to write like me. It's 4,000 pages worth of content in Claude context that we have right now. Wow. Right? So it's...
If I were to do it for me, I've never written a book.
It's pretty easy. Like, just take all your old videos, segment out the parts that are
Other people.
that are Shantanu voice, right? Clump that together, then do a transcripting.
Can I take my LinkedIn posts, all of them put together?
Actually, yeah. But I'll tell you one more thing, okay? The models today are moving towards chain of thought.
Okay.
Right? So they want
does
to
that
see how you think over a longer period of time. With tweets and LinkedIn posts, it's like you're writing something, but your evolution of thought is not changing.
Correct.
Like, for example, what I've spoken to you right now is our evolution of thought. We tried these 5 things, then we dropped this, then we're okay with killing things. That's my chain of thought.
Correct.
I think that is very necessary, and that only comes from really long form writing or long form content. So if I hadn't done long form content, like all the people starting with shorts, I don't think it'll work. I also don't think you can start with AI generated content. I think your channel needs to have real people for a while. And we make a practice of that. First 6 months, we don't use AI generated content on any new channel. Yeah. It has to be a real person. They have to have some love and loyalty from the audience first, and then we do the other channels. And then we sort of replace it with AI. Plus, when we actually work with companies, we use our existing distribution network to bootstrap their distribution. which is something no other company can give you. You go to any agency, fine, tomorrow they might be able to figure out this or that. But can they push millions of people to you in the early days and that's baked into pricing? Unlikely, right? So it's just a lot of advantages.
Correct.
Right? The school, this, that, it's just everything put together. It feels like it's, and then it sort of became like a, kind of like a, lot of deal flow came in. And then, like I said, it became a P&L problem. And P&L in the sense, like a good problem. But I'm not very good with math, right? In terms of P&L math, right? I'm good with math otherwise. In school, I was good with math. But P&L math is, does this, the X number of salaries, and then should you hire this person, should you fire this person, which I've done. Like when we ran a services company in 2016, 2017, we had 50 employees. But I wasn't prepared for this scale. There's a difference between 50 employees.
This is about 200 plus now?
Yeah, at this point. And we're hiring like 50.
And you wanted to do like a 10% team?
Yeah, I want to do like a 10-man company. It's ironic. I keep saying that AI really is going to disrupt jobs at some point, right? Like,
you're like hiring like in the hundreds.
Yeah, we're hiring in like 50, 60 people a month, right? So it becomes, it's just become weird. And
that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing, by the way.
Yeah, it's a good thing. And they're also very, like, it's like Archimedes, right? Like, it's a lever where, because they're using AI, and on the other side, they are like high in the air. So they're able to do a lot more.
Correct.
Right? So humans have become the dominant species on the planet because of tool use. Right? We use tools.
Yeah.
That's the big difference between us and animals. And animals can rudimentarily use tools, but we can like send rockets to space and back, right? So we just said everyone here needs to be armed with tools. What is the latest tools? Labs will tell you. We have an entity whose only job is to try the newest tools, figure it out, do it for companies, stay profitable. And if we didn't have that, and every weekend those guys tell the rest of the team, here's the new stuff that came out, because it's changing every week. So we will always be ahead of everybody else. And that's because I create content around it. It's so much fun. I get to try all the newest models. I get to fine-tune models. And I get to say, this sucks, this works, this doesn't suck. Like an actual reviewer. It's funny that a reviewer, if they're willing to monetize their reviewability for the new models, can monetize all of them, because everything is like a week old, 2 weeks old, 3 weeks old. Like there's a new model now called Meshy.
Okay.
Which is for text to 3D. It is very good.
What does that mean? What is text to 3D?
So you put in a prompt and it'll generate a 3D model for you.
Okay.
Like a full 3D model. Let's say I type in Ram from Ramayana, and it actually generates that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like it'll generate it and it'll be fairly good. It's broken in some parts. The texture is broken in some parts. But it's very easy for a person to fix it versus making the models again. So the cost of AAA game development is mostly in the asset generation.
Correct.
Right? And then the game dev side. The game dev side has gotten easier because of Unreal Engine, and because Unreal Engine, the marketplace now has a lot of different, what do you call, plugins. You can put those plugins in, right? On the asset side, people still have to go manually make it. Two changes have happened. One is something called Gaussian splatting, where I can go take a camera, just record some city, some part in Bangalore, and I can get a full 3D model of it in-game. I can convert that Gaussian splat back into, polygons. And then the actual, with something like Meshy, to actually have characters there. So the cost of game dev dropped, the unit economics of game dev dropped exactly the same as what it dropped for content 2 years ago. And I see the opportunity again. So I'm like, if you're a content company, maybe you should move into game dev now, because otherwise content is one way. Somebody speaking, somebody listening. Game dev is two-way. People can interact with each other. And it'll look really cool if we ever, I don't know how that's actually going to pan out, because it's still very, very early days. We just, committed a certain amount of capital to it. But again, like I was back to my point about, I don't think this would have worked VC back, because at every stage of the way it looked distracted.
Yeah.
Right? But all we were trying to do was drop the cost of content and take advantage of any new, arbitrage we couldn't find.
You wouldn't have done that if there was like a singular vision which would have kind of been...
And what vision would I have sold to a VC? Yeah. I don't know what I was doing. Like I was like, imagine going to a VC and saying, look, I create content and I'm just like checking out all these tools and fine-tuning some of them and, making videos.
There's a school, there's a lab thing, there's my own channel, and then by the way, there's this whole... I agree.
It was very confusing.
But did you know?
Yeah, like after
3-4 years back, did you know that this is what you're going towards?
I saw it, I knew after Wave to Lip. After I saw the model, Feb 2023. That's the day I tweeted. I knew at that point, if this gets better, I can replace myself. I was very bullish.
That was the aha moment.
Yeah, that was the aha moment. And I also learned to kind of trust my gut, because people were laughing at us when we said that people watch Avatar content. And I also then learned that the masses can be wrong, because I got hammered on the internet for saying that creativity,
really?
AI will like take away creativity. Because I did a video on that. before the DALL-E preview. This was before ChatGPT.
Okay.
And it was like people were really upset. They're like, you don't know anything about creativity, this, that. Whatever. We make 1,000 videos a month now, so and not all of it is like AI generated, right?
You said something very interesting when we met in your office. You said that the next TCS from India is going to be in content. It's like, do you think content could be for India? And it got me thinking over the last half an hour a little bit that India can have a serious advantage in content because we can serve the world's content needs, not only as consumers but also as creators.
Yeah.
Which China took away the manufacturing game from us a little bit. We took the services and IT, and I think a big advantage there was because we knew English.
Yeah.
I think on content, that advantage will be like probably 10x more. So if people like you are actually going to build out the next TCS for content out of India, I think that's a global change. That's a global change that I think has economic ramifications that I don't think I understand fully. I don't know whether you thought about that.
So there's the pessimistic view here is that eventually all content will get automated. Eventually you will watch a box that generates the kind of content you want to watch at any given time.
How far away are you from that?
5-6 years. Right? Where there's a box that generates content for you, it tells the best stories, it puts you in the story. You can already do all of it. Like you can already do a very rude, like our wave to lip version of our first avatar. You can already do a very, very simple version of this where I can put you, and we do this, right, at labs. We put you in a trailer. We did it for Mirzapur.
Yeah.
Right. So you can have a very rudimentary version where you are in a movie and the movie is scripted by AI. It'll be very shitty, but if you can project the future, you know at some point, whether that some point is 3 years, 5 years, 20 years, at some point it's going to get there. Right. And I think, again, like the cool thing about AI, the weird thing about AI is we said all this, we got hammered in the comments, and then when it actually played out, people were just like, oh, you're right. Right? They just switch quickly. But when I say this, that scripting is going to get even better with AI, right? You'll eventually watch a box that generates personalized content for you. TikTok is going to be completely synthetic. And just so you know, many of the top creators in India today are already using AI-generated content. It's like a very recent phenomenon, maybe a month. We've been doing it for 8-9 months. These guys have been doing it for a month and a half. People can't tell. Like some people can tell, but that's not stopping. It's not changing the views.
Yeah.
Right? People are still pulling views.
You think platforms will start censoring them, or
No.
you think platform will start say, okay, if this is AI generated, I'm going to like not show it to too many people?
No, I don't think so. Like from what we've spoken with the platforms, because we spoke to Google in the early days, because when it was working, we had a session with them, and even I didn't know where it was going to go. Nobody had any idea, and I was like, actually, guys, I'm a little clueless about this, but here's what I think will happen. And then eventually, when Google's launched Dream Screen and now Meta's doing AI avatars that you can talk to real time, they're going to embrace it, right? It helps retention.
Good for business.
It helps retention, right? It doesn't require the creator. It doesn't burn out creators, but I still think it'll be based on real creators.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's going to be a completely virtual synthetic avatar. People still want to see you in the real world, right? And I think there are the ramifications part of what you were talking about, the TCS part of what you were talking about. I think it's a little more than that. I don't know if this is going to play out exactly like TCS. Yes, of course, we'll have an element like TCS. But eventually, I find that as we make more free cash flow, I am more attracted to building more IP by ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? And the reason for this is I don't think creatives and even engineers to some extent want to just scale. Like I think that's an Excel sheet guy who just wants to scale companies. Like I don't care how much money my company makes, to be very honest. As long as it's profitable, as long as I'm having fun, and as long as I keep trying to do new things, I don't really care. And I know for example, Indian media, are always talking about how much money this company made, how much money that company made, right? I don't know if it matters. Like I don't know if, I know many of these founders, once they become profitable, I don't think they care so much about it. They're like, I want to do good work. Does it matter to you in your life whether you have 5 crores in your bank or 500 crores? Yeah. And I knew from day one, I'm happy being frugal, right? I drive an i10 today. Right? So I'm very happy being frugal. The money is not for me. The money is to do all the things that I wanted to do as a child.
Yeah.
And I'm just replicating that. Now in our foray in building games, just one sec. So with our foray into games also, so this is me doing what I want to do when I was a child. Right? Even this content thing, it's so cool. I'll tell you a cool thing, okay? I think content creators are going to be bigger than Bollywood in India.
Is it not already happening in a way?
Not yet.
No?
I'm just looking at the US and mirroring it. Okay, I'm going to ask you and the audience a question. Who do you think is bigger today? Mr. Beast or Tom Holland? Both are actors, both sort of target the same audience.
I think Mr. Beast is way
Is bigger. And the way to tell this is who can sell out a stadium. If you heard Tom Holland is coming to speak at a certain event and you have to pay whatever $10 versus Mr. Beast, which person would pull more?
I think Mr. Beast, and I think order of magnitude.
Order of magnitude. It's not even going to be close.
Yeah.
And Tom Holland is Spider-Man. He's fucking Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man is like
there,
for us, it was up there.
Yeah.
So if you look at in India, a similar, and remember in this conversation, Brad Pitt's not even there.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about Brad Pitt. So Mr. Beast is clearly the symbol of a lot of things, and of course, I think he's going to become a billionaire, right? Because he's building a lot of businesses on his back. In India, look at this map, okay? This is the first generation of Shah Rukh, Salman. Actually, there's a generation before that, but let's not talk about it. Shah Rukh, Salman, etc. Okay. The only reason you know so much about Shah Rukh and Salman is because you saw them on TV all the time. Because
they're always out there, yeah.
Yeah, they were always out there, and the only way you could communicate, you could get information is through that box. This is pre-phone era. Yeah. They were popular pre-phone era. Then from Shah Rukh and Salman, it went to the Ranbir Kapoors and the Ranveer Singhs of the world, who still have some popularity, but it's not as much as Shah Rukh and Salman. Yeah. You can tell.
Yeah.
Then now there's a completely new generation, right, of a bunch of people. I do not think they're that popular. Yeah. And I think today, there are a lot of creators in India who are certainly reaching the scale where I think they would sell out stadiums more than an A grade but third gen or fourth gen Bollywood actor or actress.
For sure.
So it's
also the audience is getting a lot smarter.
Yeah.
Audience is getting a lot smarter. Like
they're not going to theaters.
Multidimensional, yeah.
And they're not going to theaters. They're scrolling on their feeds. Yeah. And to be honest, Shantanu and everybody else, like all the other creators that I know, you're on their feeds. Yeah. Right? So we ended up sort of building this weird multiverse where now collabs are happening. It's Shah Rukh X Salman, right, on screen for them. I don't think we're that popular yet. Yeah. But I think 5 or 10 years later is eventually going to happen. Yeah. I think I'll lose out on that race personally because I don't speak Hindi. Like I'm not very good with Hindi, right? Of course, I can use an AI avatar to speak Hindi. But I think my route is more international because of the language barrier for me in India. I can speak Hindi. I studied for 14 years. It's just not proficient. So I know a truck driver would never relate to my content. And I know this, and therefore I know I will never become as popular as some of the top creators in India who can speak multilingual and really go to the masses, right? It's the same, it's like politicians. Like you can't be a politician if you can only speak English. You will never be a successful politician. Maybe you'll get somewhere, but you will never be the PM, right? So I feel like a lot of people who can do multilingual will end up being there, and at some point we'll see a content creator prime minister as well. You could argue we kind of already have a content creation prime minister. Right? It's not a bad thing. I think it's good, and it's also improved the brand image of India outside. Yeah. So if that's the opportunity, why would you build a TCS? The only reason you'd build a TCS, and I'm just thinking incentives, right?
It's free cash.
Yeah.
Services and free cash.
Free cash, right? And I think we will also scale it to a certain extent, at which point we'll be like, it's better to build our own IPs. It's better to own things on our own terms instead of being client dependent. And we'll still work with a bunch of clients. I'm very confident we'll continue to work with Zerodha, for example. Right? So I think we'll continue to do that. But it is not going to be an unbounded, unchecked 60,000 crores a year, because I don't think any of the people, we're bootstrapped. I don't have shareholders. I don't have stakeholders. I don't have anyone else driving this. So I feel like we care less about other people's stuff. So another reason why it's a bad company is to invest in ever is I'm insane. Like in the sense, I don't mind taking all the free cash flow and trying some crazy, okay, we'll do games, right? Which is so scary for somebody to have invested in, right? And I know I'm like that. And I'm like, that's a weakness. So, I mean, it could also be a strength because you do more innovative stuff. But in the short term, you always look like an idiot. And I don't want to spend my entire life justifying why I'm doing this distracted thing.
And it's such it's such a cultural shift, right, Varun? Because think about it this way, TCS grew in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And they took a service, let me put it this way, in the world of computing, they took a slightly more risk-averse, service-oriented view. Yeah. Right? So they built in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s a service business in computing for the world, while Microsoft, Apple, IBM, Intel, Nvidia, Google, Meta, over a period of time were building product businesses. Yeah. And you're saying in the world of content, I actually don't want to go the service route. I actually want to do what Microsoft and Apple did, which is to build out products, or in this case, IPs.
It's an incentive thing, man. I think when you're bootstrapped and you reach a certain stage, you're like, do I use this free cash flow to try new shit? or do I do the old shit and do more of it?
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I'm just not attracted to that much money. Like it doesn't change my life. And also stuff has gotten cheaper. The net wealth of the world has gotten more.
Yeah.
Right? I have the best phone. I have
The best food.
the best food,
Yeah.
and I get the best food for cheap.
Yeah.
Right? It's not it's not like, in the era of kings, only the kings could have access to
Yeah.
it. Now all of us can have access to what a king would have had 100, 200 years ago. You can get it on. You'll have a guy coming and giving it to you, which even kings didn't have.
Someone told me this very recently. I think Shashank from The Whole Truth. I think I don't know who told me this, but there's a calories you can buy per rupee over the last 300 years, and today apparently you can get like 500 calories for $20.
Yeah, I think today diabetes and obesity is a bigger problem than
Like,
not having
yeah,
enough
power,
food.
yeah, absolutely.
Right? So that's kind of gotten easier. A television today is not that expensive. You can rent it for like dirt cheap.
Yeah.
The only thing, and I disagree with all the finance influences, I think eventually you'll need to buy a house,
Home, yeah.
right? Because it gives you psychological comfort. It's not about money. It gives you psychological comfort of being able to, like, this is my base of operations.
Yeah.
So the only real purchase I made was home.
Well done, congratulations.
And apart from that, my personal opinion is I don't have too many other expenses. So, and I'm not really playing for the status of being a millionaire, trillionaire, it's all made up.
Yeah.
So now we're like, what is crazy shit that we can spend this money on that doesn't make sense, but if it works, would make for a cool story and also prove that it's possible in the country, right? And this doesn't mean you do a shit job of anything, right? This being non-attracted to money, or, when we take money from somebody, we do a good job for them, right? That's our rule. Like, it's like, and here's the cool thing, right? If someone's got a bad experience with us, we just like, take the money back. It's so cool. We don't have targets to hit.
Yeah.
Right? All the targets in all the teams are made up. And this core team that I have has been working with me for a very long time. Through failure, through success. They've been working with me for a very long time, right? And I had a bunch of other people as well. I got family involved. Rohit's actually my brother-in-law. Lavina is my sister-in-law. It's my wife. Now we got Karan, who's Rohit's brother. Then we got my own brother to be in the game dev side.
Yeah.
So it's like, we just got family involved. We're like, it's okay. Because you never feel bad if family makes money.
Yeah.
Because I've seen with other founders, one person gets more famous, one person makes more money, and that becomes a conflict later.
Yeah.
But like, if it's family, nobody cares,
Yeah.
right? And as long as it's got good leadership, good rules, and we use content internally as well. Like, we have a bunch of stories internally about, they are, like, for example, we have the story of chop wood, carry water, which I'm very bad at, right? But chop wood, carry water is this one guy who is a lumberjack who used to carry water from a place to the market and come back, and he decided, fuck all this shit. I hate doing the same thing over and over again. I now want to meditate and be a monk. So he becomes a monk. Okay, he meditates under a peepal tree for X number of years. Then he decides, I'm back now. And people come to him and like, now what do you do? Now that you're enlightened. It's like, I chop wood, carry water. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. So we have a bunch of stories like this.
Yeah.
Some for other people, but some also for me to remind me of what's important. And we live the company on a bunch of stories. We're storytellers outside. We create cool IP. We never want to be in the bracket of these guys are doing this for money. Or these guys, it's not even a thing that we think about here, right? Because then it becomes all about that. Yeah. Nobody cares about the innovation that you're doing. They'll be like, oh, you did this new project, you wasted this much. It happens, right? With a bunch of other Elon Musk launched this and he blew up this rocket mate. Well, like, we don't even care. We're not even playing that race, right? So we will never be money motivated, which is why at some point, maybe there'll be another company that's more money motivated that really wants to scale services that will get better. I know it is very weird to hear, right? Because a lot of people who are like number one, who are like, I don't want to lose or whatever. Yeah. But I feel like paradoxically, being innovative and trying the new stuff, it's actually helping us.
Yeah.
Not just mindlessly scaling is helping us.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. I want you to tell me, like, there are two kinds of people who I think will gain tremendously if you give them advice, right? And I'm going to break them down into two parts. People like me, for example, entrepreneurs who run consumer brands or fintech businesses or whatever, any business actually, which might have some consumer element to it, who want to get into the content game and have no idea where to start. These could be large companies, these could be startups, it could be founders, it could be anyone, right? Yeah. But businesses that want to get into the world of creation and how to think about it and what's your advice to them. And people who are obviously consumers of content because they're on social a lot, have a ton of stuff to tell the world. My mother, for example, my mother is one of the most learned yogis I know. Yeah. She is a classical music singer. She's an extremely good looking person in real life. Like, if you see her, she's magnetic. I have been wanting her to start putting stuff out there, but then she gets so overwhelmed by camera kaise lagayenge, becoming conscious, this, that and the other. Plus, then there's this overlay of technology, etc., which with AI, this, that, which someone like her will struggle with, right? And most people would, right? So for people who have stories to tell the world which are valuable for the world, how do they get out there? And how do businesses get out there? Like talk about these two, maybe one after the other.
Well, to answer your question of how do businesses do it, how much budget do you have? Give me a rough. Maybe not your number, but let's say.
Okay, let's say we can invest 25 lakhs a month.
Okay, so that's about 3 CR.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I would do. Sounds insane, but this is what's necessary right now. I would create a show called Beef.
Okay.
Okay, that's BEEF.
Okay.
Probably an expansion of the word beef, where F stands for Federation. Okay.
Okay.
I would take 2 content creators who are warring online, and I'd be like, you come, and give them a stage, like a WWE wrestling ring. They will never fight, like for two to fight, but make them trash talk each other. When the time comes to actually fighting, you get them robots, which will happen like 3-4 years later, or today you get them to get a wrestler from their hometowns. It has to be a wrestler representing your hometown, and you make those 2 wrestlers fight.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this. It
sounds for any business.
Yeah, it will work for your business, your consumer
for our
business.
Okay.
Right, and then eventually, the stage will have your, like Logan Paul did this with Prime on the WWE stage, right? It'll have a logo of the Razor or whatnot. Because you're getting content creators will come do this for free.
Okay.
Right, because they want to, be a spectacle in front of other people and do cool. See, there's 2 ways to get a content creator to do stuff with you: pay them money, or do something so outlandish that it feels like an honor to be there. Right. So tell them, okay, Varun versus Shantanu on stage, we have a disagreement or something, you take the fight to Twitter, then you eventually take the fight to the stage. Then you bring somebody from your hometown, from Gurgaon, big burly guy, I bring a big burly guy from Karnataka somewhere. We make them fight, and if the other person loses, cool, right? And then the story ends there. And you do that week on week, season on season. It would work really well in India.
Really?
Yeah, it would work really, really, really well. India has
cardinal desire to see people fight, right?
Yeah, it's primal. Like every idea I give you will be a primal human desire.
Okay, give me one more.
Like another idea I had was, this is something we eventually want to do, right? Like we're thinking in terms of TAM. Like I know for a fact I will never be a Shah Rukh Khan level famous because I speak English.
Yeah.
The truck driver will never relate to me. So I'm like, if I wanted to expand TAM, what's an IP I'd do? Then you have to tap into what India really cares about, what India has seen growing up, the Mahabharata. Replicate the Mahabharata, replicate Ramayana, right? And do that season on season. That's expensive. But the ROI on that is so unclear for a regular business, they wouldn't do it, right? But I am telling you the soft ROI on it is huge, right? And soft ROI is a made-up word, by the way. Right? I don't even know what it means, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, long term.
Right? It's like eventually people will know you for it. They will assign a value to the production value of that show. They'll be like, this is a serious company doing it, and I can trust this razor. It translates exactly like that.
Yeah.
I still, like, when I buy a shirt today, if it's Dragon Ball branded, because I grew up watching Dragon Ball, I'm okay with paying a premium for that shirt, right? And I know a lot of Dragon Ball fans, they will spend like so much money on Dragon Ball IP and it's churning again and again and again and again and again. So I think in content, eventually the goal is to build recognizable IP over the long run. AIB is that.
Yeah.
Even today, people are like, AIB, right? Can we get you guys back together for one show? So I think building long-term recognizable IP is really hard. And today you really need to invest money in it, right? Make a Black Mirror India. If you really want, like an Indian version of Black Mirror.
What would a company like us, for example, we do 300 crores a year, you can assume we have a marketing budget of, let's say, 75 crores a year.
Yeah.
What percentage of that should be on this? Like just off the top of your head.
I can't tell you in terms of percentages. I tell you in terms of you try experiments. Like you try something for 2 episodes, you'll know in 2 episodes whether it's a dud or not, right? If you're trying high production stuff, that's the thing, right? Can you do high production stuff fast, quickly, cheap? That's what AI really helps us do. Right? Can you try this?
Put it back when you want,
Yeah, put it back when you want. So your capex on something is not, let's say you want to do a Shark Tank India tomorrow. Like you want to do a YouTube version of Shark Tank. Is there a way you can run that experiment quickly and cheaply? Like over 3 episodes. And then say, is this worth betting on or should we just kill this?
Yeah.
If you can make that experiment cheap on yourself, if you spend 50 crores on a set, sorry, then you are tied into doing X number of episodes. And that I feel is like, some entrepreneurs will do that and get away with it because it will work and they will make so much money and then they will be lauded for taking that risk. But I feel that's the wrong way to do it in content because you can't tell. And audience is very like, India's got latent.
Yeah.
Right? It just worked.
That's brilliant, right?
Yeah, it's super smart.
Yeah.
And everyone's talking about it. And I'm like, if you're a brand that did that and made it slightly more PG-13, you would win the internet. Everyone would know you. Sponsoring it is cool, but it's different from you owning that IP.
Yeah.
And that IP also becomes now an asset. And how do you value it on your balance sheet? I have no idea. This is all very new. But I think it is an asset. It is an IP that you now own that you can do n number of seasons of. The only question is, are people going to get bored of it eventually? Right? Are people going to get bored of it in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? And that's why I feel your CEO needs to be a content creator. Or someone in your exec team needs to be a hardcore content creator who really cares about the company. Because you'll be like, this is getting stale.
Yeah.
Like one of the things we're doing now, we have 10 channels we own. We have a bunch of client channels. We've not spoken to the clients about this yet, so we're not taking their channels in account for now. But the channels that we own, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make them sort of overlap or interact, like a multiverse of madness between them. All right, so I'm fighting my wife's channel now on Instagram. It's not a real fight, right? But on Instagram, we're creating camps for each side. They're the artists. They made a documentary on ISRO. It took a month to make it. I'm like, who takes a month to make a video, right? We make 60 videos in that time. 30 videos, minimum 60 if you really want to. So it's like just different philosophies. So we made a beef video on that. I'll show you before you leave. And I think stuff like that, we are just experimenting. And I feel if you can replicate that, that's better. But the long-term play is make as many channels as you can. If you made 20 channels and they all interact with each other and you eclipsed sort of a person's feed, or at least had 5-10% of a person's feed, I think you'll make a lot of money, right? Because you already have a product to sell. It's proven PMF. It's not like you're experimenting, trying to figure out some new product to sell. I think it would work. That being said, I want to caveat all this by saying I'm an idiot, right? And a lot of what has worked for me has worked because of the sheer ability to just start something, try it, and then see chalta hai, nahi chalta hai. So all these are ideas which I would have in my head, but I would only know if they work after 3 months after I put it into action. It's the expensive, painful way to do things, but I feel it is the right way to do things. The only problem is when you hire somebody and you tell them make because you don't have the time for it. And the person gets emotionally attached to the thing. And then, then you're like 3 months later it's going to be gone. The person's not going to join you. The person, I'm going to work at a stable company where, this project's...
My work is respected,
Where my work is respected. You trashed my idea in 2 months, 3 months. But we make that an expectation here, which is creatives don't get too attached to the specific thing that you're doing. You'll do something else, creative. 3 months later, this doesn't work out. But don't get so attached to this that your identity becomes this. And then, you now have a crisis sort of being pulled away from it. So and to answer the question of, what should your mom do? What kind of content should she create? I think there's a window now where you can still get views, but I think content is very nepotistic. Like, I don't know where I'd be in my career if I didn't do that thing with Tanmay. Like, I was gone somewhere. I don't know if it would have accelerated as fast without Tanmay being there. And that's because it's like, there are a bunch of people like pulling views. 100, 300, 400, 500K views. Nobody takes them seriously. Like a bunch of, like random channels that do 400, 500K views. Nobody takes them seriously. I think you need a stamp of somebody that exists in the industry in some way or form, either via collaboration, either via like something, right? To really signal to the world that this person is to be, is interesting. Right? And I think I'm eternally grateful for Tanmay for taking that bet on me, right? Back then. And I think now that we have the ability to do it for other people, we're trying to do our best to help as many people as we can sort of get there. And we've also found a way to monetize it with the brands. We're like, we'll make this channel cool. We'll make this other channel cool. And I think we also do cool content there, right? The amount we wrestle with the brands to get creative control, we're like, we want to do this fight between this channel and this channel. Can you really allow us to do it? And the surprising part is how okay the brands are with it. As long as they're like, okay, then change the channel name to something else. Associate with the brand, same colors, but kuch aur banao, so you do all the beef and then 1 year later we'll change it to our brand name. Right? So there's smart ways, workarounds around this. So what I would do if I were you is create as many channels. The thing with your mom is, or anyone else creating content, is somehow you need a way in. Or you need to lead a very interesting life. Breaking through the algorithm raw is very, very, very hard
today compared to like 10 years back. Right?
Yeah. I remember there was this one video by Shweta a long time ago where he said that, look, one of the first videos I put up got a lot of views. Today it's not possible. Right? Now it's even harder. Your first video is not going to get 300K views, 400K views, just by the algorithm. Unless you put the effort of going and sharing it, getting in the right places, seeding it, for which you need an offline network. People think this is all like in the air reach and whatnot. No, it's like you need an offline network. And I think there's still a window where I think it's possible to break through the algorithm, but YouTube now has the new feature where like you can now alert YouTube to this person under this specific size, I think under 500K or something, is a good creator. There's a new signal they've created. It's called something, right? Where you can signal and you can be like this, and you have 3 a week. Once a week, you could 3 people you can say, I want this person to be recommended to the algorithm. It's a new feature on YouTube because they're enabling discovery for new creators, because actually it's very hard to break out as a new creator.
Because it's becoming very concentrated at the top, right?
It's become very concentrated at the top, and all the money
Inequity just plays out, man.
What?
Inequity just plays out.
Yeah, in any free market. No, this is a free market. This is a free market of attention.
Yeah.
And I think if you capture somebody's attention, it is getting worth more and more and more, because it's actually very easy to convert attention to money. It is not very easy to convert money to attention.
Correct.
Right? There are only few avenues. You'll have to come to us or something like that, right? And even that, like, you know, at some point you're going to start asking yourself, okay, I have all this, I'm sitting on all this money. Do I go buy a dharma?
Yeah.
Like a 50% of dharma, right? Or do I go start my own WWE or something? You see this a lot in the US, where people try to continue to stay relevant and they're like, I make so much money, nobody cares about me.
Yeah.
What do I buy?
Every billionaire has bought a newspaper. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, but that's narrative correction. This is more like, oh, I'm bored and I want to entertain myself, and you know, I want more status. How do I do that? And I think need for more status and narrative correction are two different things. But media historically has always been subsidized. The unit economics of media now makes sense on video. For finally, right? You can do it, if you really wanted to, you can do it alone. If you're a young creator, like 20 years old, you can do it alone. You can edit by yourself, you can make videos by yourself. You have to work harder, but you can do it alone. If you get some reach, some proof, this, that. Eventually everyone gets a team, but that team is never going to be 300 people, right? The team is going to be 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, right? And I think that is huge. There are people now with 5-10 man teams who are doing more views than the biggest media companies in history. Like who are still, those media companies still exist. And there are kids pulling more views than that who have more
Who are
attention.
these kids in India, for example?
Like, for example, a lot of the gamer kids,
Yeah.
right? The techno gamers and all that. I think their reach is incredible, right? Technical Guruji today will dictate more of phone buying behavior. Even though it's been a while and a lot of people called him irrelevant, I don't think he's that irrelevant. Look at his Instagram numbers, solid. He still dictates a lot more of that behavior than, some of the media guys in phone reviews and whatnot. So I feel like the order of power has changed, right? The hierarchy of power has changed. But I think this is not going to be like traditional media. I think this is going to go the route of, it's going to split. Some of us are going to go like traditional media. I think we are definitely, because we do infotainment, it's going to be definitely like traditional media. Like we won't make the mistakes of traditional media. Unit economics are better, therefore we won't make the mistakes. But somewhat like that. The others will go become celebrities, right? And I think at some point you'll have to choose. Am I media? Am I the dispenser of information in the world? Which is what my channel does technically. You want to stay updated with AI content or AI news or tech news? My channel is actually one of the best places, because we rate it by how useful. We rate every piece of news as, is this useful for people? Is this something that's valuable? Is there share value on this? Is this something that will change people? Like, we have like a bunch of criteria. Or they will go become celebrities, right? I think Beer Biceps is definitely on the route to become a celebrity at this point, right? Or already is to some extent. So I feel, and even Tanmay at this point is like, he's a celebrity, right? And us, we will create content around news, world events, etc., etc. And I think it's beautiful to watch that happen. What I am surprised is why the old media houses haven't done video.
It's a DNA thing, I think, man.
Yeah, but come on, I mean, the data is pretty obvious. People are spending so much time scrolling. You look around and someone's on their phone, they're either gaming or scrolling.
Yeah. It's like large consumer brand companies. Like, everyone knew the D2C wave was going to come. Everyone knows the quick commerce wave was going to come. But the DNA thing, right? It just takes a much longer time for a large organization to change completely the way it thinks. They're very risk averse.
Yeah, I have a theory on that. I think you need a lab. I think every company needs a lab, like a crazy entity that's only job is to stay as crazy as you possibly can.
बड़े-बड़े कंपनी में होता है, बड़ी-बड़ी lab होती है, और they'll bring the fanciest people, etc. The issue is like running a successful company and building a disruptive company are two very different things.
Yeah.
And when you're in the former, you're always protecting your success.
Yeah.
So you'll always struggle with new things. Here you're just breaking as you go. And for you, for example, maybe 3-4 years down the line, when you have 3,000-4,000 people and doing insane stuff, it might be much harder for you to tinker than compared to now.
No, but I already know this, and even today I get so much time to tinker because of how the companies are structured. For example, I'm not CEO of any of the companies. I'm CEO of this whole. By the way, our companies are structured very weirdly. We haven't even completed the entire structuring, so it's a mess right now. So all these 4 companies that we have, right, plus the media arm, let's say that's the 5th one, that's owned by the parent. Original idea was we'll have a holding company and then we'll have these 4 companies below it, my wife's company being one, my brother-in-law's company being one, whatever, 4 companies. But I will never be CEO of any company. I'm like, my job is to make sure we stay competitive, we stay relevant. I'm trying new experiments. I'm making sure that we're doing enough R&D to be at the forefront. That's what I lead, in a way. Yeah. Plus, I'm doing my own content to stay relevant and to make sure the deal flow keeps coming. Achina, my wife, once had a dilemma. She's like, should I be spending time running my company or should I be spending time creating content? And I had the same dilemma at some point. Should I spend more time here or get a CEO? And now everything is different CEO run, right? Or should I spend more time creating content? This is a funny, very low ego answer we came to. Which is it's higher ROI to create content. Because CEO part, managing people is hard, but it's not impossible.
Yeah.
But content, we are blessed to have something where people watch us. Yeah. And you can screw this up and yes, you will pay the price, but you screw this up, you lose all deal flow.
Yeah.
And deal flow is what makes a company like a B2B company successful. We can never lose this. Yeah. So we have to go out and keep creating content, but that's a low ego answer because everyone wants to be CEO.
Yeah.
And when you've been CEO for a long time, I've been in startups for like a long time and you've had good years, you've had bad years, you come to this conclusion it's an overrated role.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm saying this knowing that a lot of our CEOs will watch the pod, but they know my thoughts on this. And they have voluntarily chosen to be CEOs. So I'm like,
it's interesting you say that because in our company also, when we started the barbershop, the board was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, is this a fame-hungry thing? Like, you think you arrived just because the company is now getting to a certain scale or we've raised a lot of money. Now you're going out. It's nearly not enough. I said, no, but this is important to the company because content is important. And people didn't get it. For a year and a half, people just did not get it. And I was spending a lot of time on it. It was obviously taking mind space. And the running of the company was actually being done by the senior team, including my co-founder Deepak, who actually is in the weeds every single day, kind of figuring it out. And I realized, man, he's so good at that job. And I think no one can do what I'm doing with this kind of, intensity. So we just realized that there's a division of labor. And now everyone like, yeah, absolutely, it makes a lot of sense. But at that time, like, thank God.
Being misunderstood is normal when you're doing something that people don't understand. Also, I feel like one thing VCs don't get about content, they still don't get it. Every successful channel is a personal brand. Name a company channel that's done really, really well. Like I'm talking about, even if they are temporarily successful, they will never build the loyalty of a human at scale, of a Shahrukh or an actual face. AI really gave us the opportunity to make a face at scale because you can now buy the royalties of a person. It's also, by the way, that's something we had to navigate, which was really weird. How do you get somebody to license their AI face to you? What type of contract do you sign? We did it probably for the first time in India. I'm sure they would have done it, but we had to buy their license forever. And this is not a celebrity we're doing it from, right? From an individual, because channel stops working if you decide 2 years later, I don't want my royalties here or my face here. That's something we had to navigate. That I can speak about that for a while. We still haven't fully figured it out. The answer is still haven't fully figured it out. But everything works on high trust, right? So, at some point, regulations around it will come by, and we'll probably be the first people to accept it. Blah blah blah.
Are you part of the policy? Are you working with the government on this?
I know Akhrit well. Akhrit runs the India AI mission. We speak very often, but I think it'll take some time for India to really build proper policy or regulation on this. I think right now India is still trying to stimulate growth in AI. Yeah. We don't want to lose the race. Before you get into ultra regulation, you don't want to lose the race. But I do know Anil Kapoor was on the Time India this thing, right? For regulation, for going out and copywriting his voice and this and that. So I think first India has to make sure we don't lose the race. We have a lot more to lose. Yeah. Copywriting can come a little later beyond that. But we do everything the right way. In the sense, we will never make a deepfake of anyone anymore. 2 years ago when we were experimenting, we've done some of this to show people that it's possible, right? But now last 1.5 years, we've never deepfaked anyone else without their permission. We've never, I'm not saying we've ever done it in a bad way. We've done it, like for example, we've used a celebrity's voice to make a tutorial, right? To say, here's how you can make this person's voice. This is when we were just learning about the space and blah, blah, blah. But today it's like, we get a person, it's like a bunch of documentation they need to sign before they do an AI avatar with us, right? So it's stuff like that's new, that we are also trying to figure out the shape of. But yeah, I think to answer your questions, I think VCs don't get that channels are personal brands.
Yeah.
And anytime you involve a personal brand, even if it's got a company name, like we've invested in this one company called 100x Engineers. Yeah. It's a portfolio company at this point, AF's portfolio at this point. 100x Engineers, it's called 100x Engineers. But Sid is on it. It's his face. And when they see him out, he'll be like, hey, 100x Engineers. It's still a person that people are relating to. They've just called the person 100x Engineer. You can really confuse people like that as well. So I think everything is a personal brand. I don't think VCs are comfortable with personal brand building in a company, but it's necessary. The best companies ever run in history are personal brand driven.
Yeah.
So how do you equate the two?
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
What's your experience with that win? Like now, how's it going now?
Now I think it's played out, right? Now it's very clear. Now I was in Christ University today, and every time I go into a college, because that's where my target audience is, our first question is, have you heard of Bombay Shaving Company? Have you heard of Barbershop? Who heard of Bombay Shaving Company before they heard of the Barbershop? It's 3 variables, the math becomes very clear in my target audience.
Yeah.
It's very, very clear, right? So my CMO and the marketing team always has a good question to answer, which is, okay, it's all for awareness. Now, how do you build out the remaining marketing funnel? I said, that's a good point. I'm not sure how much content can actually do beyond just make people as aware of the product offering as possible. I think at some point, physical distribution has to do its job. At some point, channels have to play their role. At some point, the team has to do more, and I get it. But if we are able to create this top of funnel in a very meaningful way, where you can at least create some kind of purchase intent or intrigue, it makes the rest of the funnel super cylindrical.
And you can really scale it. Like it makes everything easier. You want to hire people today, you put up a story, right? And you know what? I've noticed something with our culture, right? Because now we have so many people. If people have watched our content and come in, you kind of know what to expect.
Yeah.
They kind of, unofficially, they're all similar people, because it turns out at scale, only a certain kind of, like an ICP in a way, follows you on YouTube or Instagram. So they're meeting their friends here. Yeah. They come in and they're like, you're exactly like me.
Yeah.
You know what relates you both? You follow me. Yeah. So you're kind of similar, because I attract the kind of person who watch content.
Do you feel your employees worship you because of that though?
No. Like, sometimes, yeah. Like,
I struggle with newer recruits. Who come in after they see the barbershop. People who have been around for a while and then they've seen the barbershop happen, it's okay.
We filter that out, actually.
Yeah.
Like if
it's very difficult for them to disagree and so on. It becomes very hard.
Yeah, if there's too much fanboyism, I don't do it. Plus, I'm not CEO. So I don't spend too much time with the employees. So they spend a lot of time with their teams and their bosses who are not as famous, right? So I feel like, yes, it does change the dynamic, but I think it's net better, because otherwise you have a lot of people, disaligned people. You know, the hardest thing is to just align 5 people to do one thing. It's really hard, right? Especially if they don't know each other.
Yeah.
But here, if they already kind of know what the other people are like, it's all people who are generally disagreeable, but agreeable with each other.
Yeah.
So they're more productive. And they watch my content, so they've already seen me talk about these tools. They've already seen me, talk about content. They already know like, it's not like a blank slate.
Yeah.
Whereas in 2016, 2017, I used to run this services company called Avalon. And when I used to hire people, it's like they knew nothing about me. And they were so different. And they were like, now we need to install everything that we know about our current business into them. So the more I talk about the business, it makes hiring really easy. It makes the pre-training really easy. And the school that Achina does, I'm able to say, okay, you should also teach them this because I need this in this business. So it becomes part of the curriculum in a way. So I think a lot of that stuff has happened. So hiring is easier, leads are easier. You have a problem, people, right? So it's a lot of that. And like you said, that when you enter a room, people knowing who you are, that just changes everything.
Fully. Like now I'm even raising money, by the way. I wrote a post on LinkedIn. I don't know if you saw it.
No.
I'm sure you've experienced this. early stage entrepreneurs get rejected a lot. Like people stop picking up my calls.
Yeah.
People stop giving me meetings. People stop responding to my texts. Not my friends and all, but it's acquaintances. Like if I were in McKinsey, they would never not respond.
Yeah.
Now, they always respond. And I call up.
I know what
someone,
you mean.
They pick up, and I can hear the palpable disappointment when they realize the call is not about inviting them on the podcast. They're like, oh, okay. Acha, ye chahiye tha kya? Okay, fine. Let me hook you up. Okay, what do you really expect? And it's very real. It's very, very real. So content creates leverage in very soft ways also.
Yeah, fame tricks the brain. And it's also, I think, content is like a visa.
Yeah.
You can be anywhere. You'll always get an invite to any event you want to. Now that you're a creator, you'll always be behind this scene, so you'll know what other people are doing 6 months before they're doing it. Like, to the audience, I'm actually showing you the demo of the game we're building, right? Or at least the early, just right after this. So you'll know what other people are up to, whether it fails or not, or succeeds or not. You'll know what other people are up to.
Plugged in, yeah.
You're plugged in. So you're not getting information from internet, right? Which is actually the slowest form of information once you know people offline.
Correct.
I think all of that is really, really, really valuable. And I don't know if you can put a number on it.
Yeah.
And it is personal brand driven. It's very against the VC thesis of, we're investing in a company. This is the scalable thing that will run without any headless this thing. But it's never like that. Even if you take quick commerce, it's still very personality driven because it's the person that drives this thing. Of course, there's a scale beyond which that person doesn't matter. But I assume because many of the VCs we're talking about are early stage VCs. You can't tell.
Human thing, no? Like, do you watch football?
I used to.
Like Sir Alex Ferguson?
I know.
Never believed in the superstar theory. He never felt anyone should be bigger than the club. But man, sports is all about superstars. Sports is just, like no superstars, it's very difficult with the sport.
It's a fundamental thing that you only learn as a founder. And a lot of people in VC are not founders, right? They're managers. Nothing against them. I think what they do is also incredibly hard.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of empathy for them because it's so hard to tell, like I'm sure you've angel invested. It's so hard to tell what a company will be in the early stages. You have no control.
Correct.
It's like buying an apartment in some shady complex. You have no idea what's going to happen later.
Correct.
You just hope they're doing the best job they can. And you don't have full information either. So you're making decisions based on, you saw something online, so you're like, maybe this guy's good, this guy's bad. You don't know.
Yeah.
So I think it's a hard job, but if you've not been as a founder, you know that there's going to be that one guy in your team who's just changed the game.
Yeah.
Who's added 10 crores of new revenue this quarter, right? In venture, it's hard to believe until you see it.
Yeah.
Until you see it from far that this one person, like so many people, Elon Musk, right? He's insane. But there's still people in the comments who are like, no, he's not doing it, his team is doing it.
Yeah.
Like, the team wouldn't be there in the first place if he didn't organize that, and just organizing 5 people is hard.
Yeah.
So seeing a superstar in action right next to them is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And I feel it's hard to see, especially in the world of venture, because of course you'll have wins, but it's not directly attributable. You made the right pick. Sure, that's like a poker player winning a game, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, before we let you go, and I know this has been a much longer conversation that we had kind of.
I have all the time in the world.
I actually wanted to tell you a little bit about Razorprenuer, and this is our tool for content. Okay, we basically last year we got people to sell these. We told them we want to learn sales. You take this product. We feel it's our most disruptive product. With the 3-blade razor, 99 rupees, all of that stuff, right? So we had people like Varun. We had people who went into local trains, metros, fathers' factories, on the roads, etc., right, to sell this product. We're like, cool. Now this time you want to learn how to make content. You make it around the razor, like be a razorpreneur by making sellable content with this. So we've gotten people, students, anyone wants to be a creator. कि तुमको अगर content बनाना है, तो you have to make it engaging and you have to make it monetizable. And to make it monetizable, you sell razors to your community.
Yeah.
And the person who does the best on this, we are giving them like a 10 lakh contract to be with the face of Bombay Shaving Company next year as a creator.
Wow.
We are getting them to be a part of our content, finale episode on the Barbershop, as to give them a chance to show their wares to the world. And we'll get them to start getting mentored by other creators. Like you're right, it's a nepotistic world. Yeah. And if you don't have an entry into it, it will just take a lot of time. Sometimes natural talent just dies, unfortunately, natural deaths. So people who are using this to kind of sharpen their game and to kind of become Razorpreneurs, what advice would you have? So Tanmay had an advice. Tanmay was like, I'll start an Instagram page called Hair Wolf and keep putting
I saw that reel.
and keep putting content on it and kind of scale it up through like 3-4 things. And but from your standpoint, if you would like to be a creator, maybe 10,000-15,000 followers, wants to get into the game, but wants to use this opportunity to sell razors, which is a very tactical and specific thing, how would you do it? Or what advice would
I'm
you
just thinking off the top of my head because usually I take some time to think about this. But have you seen pen fight when we were young?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do something similar. You have a series of razors, right?
Yeah.
So I would use the series of razors, pit them against each other, have like a finale, involve the audience, be like, which of the two razors do you think is going to win? And
I love that idea actually.
yeah, and
So primal, yeah.
everything will boil down to the primal, right? Like have them do pen fight, have different, two different sets of people, then make an animated series on it with two different people, spinning the razors around, fighting with each other. I would do stuff like that. But that's just something I can think of off the top of my head, right? Like if I were to do it with no budgets or very low budgets, it would probably be me talking about, like, it would be very simple shaving tips.
Yeah.
I think that's like, it sounds like a very easy idea, but I think in this one, it is something that people will want, right? Like, I don't think there's a channel right now that's just like pure shaving.
Yeah.
Shaving tips, hairstyles, different kind of hairstyles. There's another channel idea that somebody had, which was rating other people's looks.
Yeah.
So you look at another person's look,
Yeah.
post-barber look, and I would call it post-barbershop.
Yeah.
Okay. I
love it.
I would show somebody's look, and I'd be like, I rate this look. I'll tell you at the end of the video, but this is the problem with this look. So you see the two cuts that he has here. That's badly done. They're not aligned. I'm just coming up with something, right? They're not aligned. And like if they had used these razors, they would know that these razors don't actually cut like that. I'm coming up with something on the fly, right? But yeah, as for the rating, I would rate this 3 on 5. But people will stay for the rating because they want to know how it rates.
Very interesting. You want something till the end. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's easier to get a woman to do it because people want to see women rating men's styles. So if women rate a particular man's style 5 on 5, people will go get that hairstyle. If they rate it 3 on 5, then they would rate it slightly poorly. That's what I would do.
Awesome. So you have basically targeted 2 primal desires of men.
Yeah.
One is to watch other men fight through the pen fight, and the other one is to be validated by a woman, which is, I think, especially from a look standpoint. Food farmer, Revant, I don't know if you met this guy.
Yeah, I met him like 2 weeks ago.
Incredible. He picked up the razor and he's like, I'm going to read the label and see whether you guys are actually being honest. And he kicked our ass, by the way. Like, he tried to scan the QR code, he read every line. Tanmay did the hair wolf thing. There's another couple of creators who use the razor like a mic. And like kind of said whatever they had to say to their communities. So they're like, cool, I talk to my community about beauty or about politics or whatever. I'll continue doing that. I don't want to change to sell a razor, I'm not changing my, line of content a lot. But I'm going to use this as a mic, which was really cool. I felt like, you're staying true to your audience. At the same time, you're being very cool with this. So I love these ideas. Any final thoughts, Varun, for people who want to build out careers in content, other than the fact that they have to get in and, kind of be at it for a while?
I mean, I think do what you love. Like, I'd written a book called Pajama Profit, and me and Abhinav, the co-author, we were just going through the book. We were trying to see how our predictions held up 6-7 years in the future, right? And one of the things we had written in the book is passion doesn't really matter so much. It's more about discipline. Both me and Abhinav looked up and were like, no, it's about passion, right? Because when you're young, you think it's about discipline because you're in that focused area where you're putting disciplined hard work. But dude, ultimately, I eventually gravitate to who I am and what I'm passionate about. And so does everybody else. So if you're passionate about content, you will outwork the person who is not passionate about it because you are naturally inclined to do more of it. So it will feel like play to you if you're passionate about it and feel like work to somebody else.
If they're disciplined about it.
Right? If they're disciplined about it. So the disciplined guy will lose in the long run. That sounds weird, but he will just lose to a guy.
The disciplined guy without passion will lose. The disciplined guy with passion is like.
But I'll tell you, if you have enough passion, discipline comes by itself. If you really love the thing, if you really love playing sports, and you have, I have one uncle in my society who really loves playing badminton. He's in the court all the time. Right? He's in the badminton court all the time.
He was really good.
Yeah, if you're really passionate, you will go there all the time. You're like, I enjoy doing this. I love doing this. This is the thing I live for. So I feel like a lot of people today, because of the content, this thing, they force themselves into being content creators. and they're not really passionate about it, they're doing it like kinda, because everybody else is doing it, I don't think you should half-ass it. I think you will get outcompeted by the person that full-asses it.
Yeah.
And I half-assed content for so long, and just so you know, except the last 1.5 years, I grew from 100K subscribers in 2016 to 130K in 6 years because I was half-assing it.
Yeah.
The minute we went full-ass, everything changed, right? Because we were like, this is something that's very, very important to us. But I always leave the audience with something, right? This is something I've learned over the last couple of years. I'm an idiot. Don't take anything I say seriously. Make your own life decisions because nobody really knows.
Yeah.
If you ask people about my decisions a year ago, they'll be like, hey, it's stupid, but it worked.
Yeah.
If you ask me about Snapchat, when Snapchat started, I don't like no chance people will send themselves an image that disappears in 10 seconds. What's the use case?
Yeah.
Didn't expect it to get so big. So I've been wrong. I am wrong often about the future, right? And the only way to really tell is to go do the thing yourself and then see does it work out or not. Yeah. And I feel we have an epidemic of influencers giving life advice like this is the thing to do, and if you don't do this, you're in trouble, and this is the only path. And I'm like, me and my wife are polar opposites in the way we create content, and both work.
Both work, yeah.
Right. So who am I to give a specific path of advice?
Awesome. Varun, you've been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for, for sharing your insights,
And thank you for the shaving blade. I assume this is for me.
We're going to send you a full big hamper. We didn't get it on the flight, but we're sending you like a whole Bombay shaving company and Bombay hamper for Achina. But this has been fascinating. I think you're at the precipice of innovation in a world, in a world that's changing very fast. And I'm just glad I could pick your brain on it, and I'm hoping our viewers enjoyed as well.
Likewise. Thank you for having me on. It's an honor.
Thank you so much.